let's get started on this. So, yeah, I do feel like I need to apologize. So, I passed the exam about a month ago, and I thought I would get this out a lot sooner, but I had a wedding and a flooded basement, and not that that's an excuse. Okay, I understand. Hopefully, someone somewhere will get some use out of this presentation, and it'll be up on YouTube as well. So if you're on YouTube, there will be timestamps because this is a longin'. Buckle up, okay? And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Beau. I'm a web application pen tester for a company. Every once in a while, I stream on Twitch and post stuff to YouTube. And I recently passed OSCP with 100 points, and I did not do the lab report / the exam exercises. And I'm doing this presentation because I really appreciated it when someone gave a detailed review of what they did. And yeah, that's why we're here. And the post that I made about getting my OSCP got almost 1,000 likes on LinkedIn too. So maybe, hopefully, someone somewhere actually cares about this. And short disclaimer, everything I talk about is just general stuff, not specific to my exam or other exams. Everyone gets different boxes. Everyone's experience is different. And the other part of that is everyone has different starting points. So how I studied will be different than how you study and how long I've been doing computer stuff. And so what it took for me will be different than what it will take for you in order to pass the exam. And that is why it is important to talk about my background, okay? So, this part, so I barely graduated high school, okay? For those of you who are in the US, I graduated with a 2.543 GPA, and that's pretty bad around here. I went and found my transcript from when I graduated. But so I don't consider myself to be a smart person, okay? Just kind of obsessed with offensive security, pen testing, red teaming, and things like that. The reason I bring that up is because if I can pass this exam, that means you can too, okay? If I can pass, then you can pass. That's kind of just how it is. And before taking the OSCP, I had my Net Plus certification, which I think is kind of garbage, and the EJPT certification, which at the time was a little too easy. I had already been a pen tester for a year and a half or 2 years when I got that, but I do still think that it's a good certification if you're starting from nothing. So if you don't know where to start, I'd start there. I do have a lot of experience in IT, and I am currently working as a web app penetration tester. Tiberius is my hero. I want to be just like him when I grow up. And I do get asked a lot if you need development or IT experience in order to be a pen tester or pass OSCP. And I say that at a bare minimum, it will be helpful and make your life a lot easier if you have IT experience, development experience. If you don't, I'd probably start by doing the beginner paths on TryHackMe. And I think that offensive security is trying to address this issue with their level 100 courses that they now offer. So if I already have a pen test job, why would I go for the OSCP? And this is also a little bit hard for me to answer. And hold on. Yeah. It's basically I have a hard time focusing on things, okay? And even though I was a pen tester already, I had so many things that I wanted to do and so many goals, and just a lot of stuff that I wanted to do, and a lot of things that I wanted to accomplish in my life. Sorry about that, you guys. Yep. Okay, so we're good. Um, I want to emphasize how bad my ADHD is, and I'll do that by showing you guys how much or how many Udemy courses I've signed up for, and not only not finished, but most of them haven't even started. Okay, so just guess in your mind a little bit. Guess in your mind how many um, how many Udemy courses, and I'm guessing some of you guys are similar. Oh, why? Hello there, Cyber Samurai. Just guess in your mind. What do you guys think? I'm guessing you guys are similar, but a buddy of mine told me that 452 is kind of a lot. Okay, and for me, that felt normal. And it probably shouldn't have, but the other thing you have to also keep in mind is I have active subscriptions to Pluralsight, LinkedIn Learning, INE, Pentester Lab Pro, and you can just like imagine the playlist that I have on those. So anyway, it's hard for me to focus. I'm trying to stay on track. And I'm not trying to make that like an excuse, but the OSCP was something that like, okay, let's actually focus on this one thing that's hard to do, that something that I can be proud of. And so anyway, that's why I decided to get my OSCP last November, is when I actually signed up for it. But anyway, well, let's go over that. So I in September is when I made that decision that I'm going to go for the OSCP. Okay, and I started streaming Hack the Box in September of last year. I should also clarify that I did fail my first exam. I didn't pass with 100 on my first try. So about 9-10 months ago is when I started streaming Hack the Box. And on November 4th, I decided to sign up for the Pen 200 because it went on sale. That was really good. And then the next month is when the changes for the exam came out for to include Active Directory. Okay, so great, fine, but I had already scheduled my first exam attempt. I had already scheduled it. So I take it mid-December, and I failed with 65 points, you guys. I had 65 points out of 70. I needed one more flag, and I was really pissed. And I made a mistake, and I scheduled it right before I took a 2 or 3 week vacation with my family. And so I ended up taking a 2 or 3 week break from hacking at work and at home. And so that turned into 3 months of not like practicing for the OSCP. And web stuff that I do for work is pretty different, you know. So I didn't really start studying again until about a month and a half before my second exam started. And I spent that time doing extra practice in Windows and Active Directory boxes because of the new exam format. And I do want to say, and I got permission to say from OffSec, that if I hadn't studied the Active Directory portion of the PDF, I would not have passed this exam, let alone gotten the 100 points that I did. And as soon as I get this email, dude. So to preface this, I'm from Utah, for those of you guys who don't know. So as soon as I got that email notification that I passed the exam, this is what I thought.
The only hacker that I know lives in Utah.
Did you guys see that and hear that? Because I thought that was fun. Anyway, the only hacker that I know lives in Utah. So Oreo Bite, that's a good question. I've before then I had been a pen tester, a web application pen tester for 2 years already. And I had dabbled in like network pen testing stuff, but not done a whole lot. So I hope that answers your question, and if it doesn't, clarify, and I'll try and do that a little bit better. Yeah, so let's go over some stats actually real quick. So, and the reason I'm showing these stats are kind of the closest measurable metric that we have to determine if someone is ready for the exam. It's not perfect, and I wish there was a better way to tell if someone was ready for the exam. But I can't really think of anything, so these are my numbers. I did 35 boxes on Hack the Box that were on TJ Knoll's list. I did 45 Proving Ground boxes. I did all of the easy ones and some of the medium ones and some of the hard ones. Again, a lot of those are from TJ Knoll's list. And I only did about 10 boxes in the Pen 200 labs. And 6 of those boxes were the 2 Active Directory sets. So I didn't spend a ton of time in the lab, because when I first got in, like, it was too much fun. Like, I would get into a box and I'd be searching around looking for other stuff to help me with other boxes, and it was too much fun, and I was having a hard time. I like trying to study with a purpose, and so I was having a hard time finding like specific things to learn in the lab. But the Active Directory part was awesome. That part was legit, but it was harder for me to study for the exam rather than just have fun in the lab. So yeah, and I did stream for a good 90 of those hours of the total of 225 hours studied. Okay. And then so speaking of studying, let's talk about the study process. And I do want to say that what I did will not work for everybody. Yeah. So I was already a web app pen tester. I had done Windows sysadmin work and network engineering stuff before. Not that I was really good at those things, but anyway, I am glad that I streamed on Twitch. I met a lot of you guys. I learned so much from the people in my chat. And hopefully if I see any of you at DEF CON, I can buy you a drink or something. Not everyone can stream, but I did, and I made a lot of friends. The main thing about my study is learn by doing, hands on the keyboard. I should be there, Oreo Bite. I should be at DEF CON. I can't guarantee anything, but my ticket is purchased. That doesn't mean that something catastrophic won't happen or something, but so learn by doing, hands on the keyboard. I made notes and checklists along the way, and anytime I got stuck on either a foothold or a privesc for more than an hour and a half, 90 minutes, okay, I would use a timer. I would I would look at a write-up or a hint in the case of proving grounds just for that step, okay? And ask, why didn't I see this before? What check can I add to my checklist or something to my methodology? How can I make sure that I won't get stuck on this kind of thing in the future? And I felt like doing it this way helped in two ways. Number one, it prepared my mind for the approximate timing I was looking for the exam. It became a race, an hour and a half. And it also meant that I didn't spend too much time banging my head against the wall and not learning anything, okay? So it was a balance of challenging myself to do better and to learn, and actual productive learning instead of just banging my head against the wall. And the other thing that I did is I looked at walkthroughs, even if I pwned the machine myself. So, and several times I found like an unintended privilege escalation, or many times I did the foothold or the prevest the right way, but someone else did it using a different tool or a different way. And in my head, it's really good to know different ways to do things. For example, ASREP roasting or curb roasting, you can do that from Kali using in-packet tools, but you can also do it on a Windows box using Rubius or some PowerShell scripts. So it helps to be able to do it in both places depending on the circumstance. And I also did some practice exams. And so I would set up on a weekend, I would take a Saturday and I'd set up 5 or 6 boxes to do in that entire Saturday. And I would kind of get myself used to the 24-hour format instead of trying to do 1 box a day like I had been doing in my previous studies. So anyway, the thing here is you can read the PDF, you can read as many blog posts and Reddit posts as you want, you can watch all the YouTube videos, you can even follow Al-Hazred on Twitch, but until you're actually doing it in your own Kali VM every day, you're not going to get very far, in my personal opinion. Exam day strategy, Oreo Bite. During your exam, how often do you have to reference your own notes versus a fresh Google query? That's a good question. I hadn't thought about that. I'd say a good 75% of it was in my notes already. But Google is definitely the most helpful resource. Yeah. So, let's talk about note taking for a second. Taking proper notes will help you write the report. And I have an action item. Okay, action item for everyone who hasn't taken it yet. OFSEC has released a new Word document for the exam report template. Go download that template. It will show you what they're expecting in the report for you to show for each box. And when you're doing your hack the box and your proving grounds and in the lab, take your notes that way and kind of think of it as if you're writing that report. I need to screenshot this. I need to copy this code here. I need to screenshot the flag, etc. As I said before, set a timer. I went over my notes before. I kind of organized them the day before. Instead of like hacking on a box, I was just kind of doing mind stuff. Take breaks when you need it, okay? Physical breaks, mental breaks, go on a walk, go get water, hydro homies, okay? I tried to take a break after every flag, and, you know, I mean, that is easy for me to say to take breaks because I was getting flags pretty often. If you're stuck for 6 or 7 hours on a box and you're not getting a flag, then it's not going to feel like it, but that's really when you actually need to take a break. Clear out your mind, okay? I had my food planned out real good. Let me find the link. Because they have old ones that are not good. So on that page that I just put into chat, it has the exam report template and the lab report template. So if you download the Word doc for the exam report template, it's fairly up to date compared to some of the other ones that you'll find online. So I did plan out my food for the day before. I would highly advise not changing from your normal diet for the day before, during the exam, and when you have to write the report. And like I said on my LinkedIn post, do not eat 2 spicy chicken sandwiches the day before. That is not something that I want to talk about. But I can guarantee that it will not be fun. So, if I had such a good test day strategy, Beau, how come you failed your first exam? Okay? So I failed with 65 points. For reals, it just doesn't get any worse than that for me. I feel like it would have been better to fail it with like 20 points or something. Like, it was so close, and I beat myself up so much, and I was like, well, I got the first flag on the 25-point box, and if they count, what does partial points mean? So I still like submitted the report and everything, and they still told me that I failed. But so I failed because I didn't do the lab report. That would, at the time, that would have given me the 5 extra points that I needed to pass the exam. However, how long would it have taken me to do that lab report? I took my first exam within 2 months of signing up for the Penn 200 course. Okay, so I am glad that I didn't do it. It would have taken me a while, and the new one is just too long. I don't know if you guys have seen on the subreddit, but people's their exercise report that they do, like, those are 300 or 400 pages. Like, that's just crazy to me. And secondly, and potentially even more importantly, I relied too heavily on enumeration and recon tools, and didn't do enough manual recon. So, yeah, I think those are the 2 reasons why I failed and didn't have the one more flag that I needed to pass. And the only study, like I mentioned before, the only study that I did in between my exam attempts, I'm not allowed to talk about the differences in boxes other than the AD stuff, but the only difference in study between the first exam and the second was, like I said, the Active Directory and the Windows boxes that I did, and it was just extra of those things, and that was it. And next, let's go over the timeline of the day. Can you guys see that okay? The timeline of the actual day of my exam. Okay? So, I scheduled my exam for 9 a.m. Okay, so 8:31 I sign in to the proctoring software. I'm done with the proctor at 8:46. I receive my email at 9 a.m. Start my VPN, get everything set up by 9:07. Here's where it gets hairy. I had to start with Active Directory, because if I don't get Active Directory, then I fail the exam because I didn't do the lab report. At around 10:15 right here, I tell the proctor I'm taking a break. I leave my office. I go tell my wife, this is too hard. I don't think I'm gonna pass. Please don't be disappointed in me if I fail again. I told her that. 10, 15 minutes later, I get a foothold on the AD set, which is great. I could have gotten the foothold faster if I had followed my own methodology instead of just doing stuff willy-nilly. Okay? So I got too excited. I got too nervous. It freaked me out. I went back to my notes. I got the foothold. In the next hour and a half, boxes start to fall, dude. And actually, I had the rest within like 45 minutes, and the rest of this time was making sure I had my screenshots and my notes and my commands all good to go for the exam report. So at noon, I finished the Active Directory set. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's take a 45-minute break for lunch, and luckily, I got a buffer overflow. And yes, I did talk to OffSec. I am allowed to tell you that I got a buffer overflow box, even though that is not a guaranteed thing anymore. Thank goodness I did. It actually only took me about 15 minutes to do the buffer overflow, but another like half hour to, hey, we got another new person. Welcome, welcome. It took me 15 minutes to half an hour just working on the notes for the buffer overflow. Stuff is crazy. And then the Privesc took another half hour. Done. Break. 2 o'clock. Feeling good. We got 60 points already. We start on box 5 at 2:30. I had my timer set for an hour and a half, and no good. Okay? That was no good, because I felt like I had exhausted all my options in 1 hour. I was like, there's nothing else I can do. So I switch boxes. I go to box 6 at 3:30. Oh, man. 3:30. I go another hour. No good. Nothing comes from it. At this point, I'm feeling very, like right here, I'm feeling pretty bad about myself. I'm like, I'm going to fail by 1 flag again. I'm going to do this again. Thankfully, when I switched back, I saw something new, and I was able to get in after half an hour. And at this point, 70 points? Oof. Oof. Oh man, the relief, dude. You guys wouldn't even believe the relief for getting 70 points.
You son of a bitch! I'm in!
Okay.
There's only one hacker in the world who can break this code.
70 points. At this point, I take another break, even though I'm only halfway through the box. I'm feeling like, oh boy. So I'm 8 hours in, enough points to pass, extreme relief. Okay. I almost cried. HunterBot asks, saw something new, meaning you rescan the box and something else popped up? Good question. By saw something new, I looked at the data that I had differently. And I know that that's semi-cryptic and confusing, but that's the best that I can do with the restrictions that I have. Another half hour, I start on the box again. Half hour later, 80 points. Okay? 80 points out of 100. And at that point, at 6 o'clock, I decide to eat some din-din, watch some TV, play some video games. Stranger Things had come out like 2 days before this. I start again on the documentation. It's so boring. So after my hour, I take another break, watch some more TV, and go to bed at 10. Let's go to day 2. 10 o'clock, 10 p.m., tell my proctors I'm going to bed. Day 2 coming up. I come back. My webcam software had crashed. I fixed it. I told the proctor I was back. 5:45. I get everything back. No. It was about 5:50-ish, 5:55 when I get everything back. Start on box 6 again. Once again, I see the data that I have in front of me. I see in a different light, and I try something that I had not tried the day before, and I get an unstable shell at 6:30 a.m. 90 points. I'm feeling good. I run downstairs to tell my wife, hey, I got 90 points. And she was still asleep, but I still whispered it to her. She didn't hear me because she was asleep, though. Half an hour later, I have root/admin. I know I put root. That's not guaranteeing that it was a Linux box. I'm just putting root/admin at that point. I should have put privesc like I did here. Yeah, so at that point I'm feeling super good, 100 points, pounding on my chest like this, like I always do. And I went back downstairs to tell my wife, hey, I got 100 points. And she was still asleep, so that didn't do anything. But then I spend the next hour on my report, making sure that I have enough screenshots and all my code snippets and everything good to go for every box, not just that box, for every box. And then with about 45 minutes left, I end my test early with the proctor. I'm like, bro, I got all the flags, right? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, I think I did. End the test early, VPN breaks, proctoring software's over, good to go. At 9 o'clock, I drink a lot of coffee, thinking that I'm just going to get started on my report. I have to be on a plane the next day in the morning. So I'm like, I got to get this report done right now. I drink too much coffee, and I'm freaking out. The coffee gives me such bad anxiety, okay? Like, what if I accidentally used a tool I wasn't supposed to? What if when I came back from bed or from, like, this big long break, I accidentally had my phone in my pocket? Like, all the things, all the reasons why I wouldn't pass were going through my head. I was freaking out that entire time. After a while, I calmed down, okay? And that's when the report stuff started going for realsies. And the report took me so long, you guys. It took me so long. Look how many hours this is. Okay? I submit my report at 1 a.m. I actually finish around midnight, but you get so tired. You've been up for such a long time, and then at the end of the report, you gotta like check everything, and you check 500 times. Anyway, it's stress-inducing for a dude like me, at least. And yeah, submit it. I go to bed. I still don't fall asleep for like another hour because of I don't know if you guys have had the past the point of no return on staying awake, but I had that plus the anxiety mixed with adrenaline stuff. But anyway, so I get 4.5, 5 hours of sleep. I wake up at 6, get to the airport, and my report was due right here. Get to the chopper. Yeah, exactly, dude. So I'm like in the airport / on the airplane when my report is actually due. And I was like, man, I really hope I actually pass this thing. So the wedding was the next day. So, and it was in another state. And so we did like dinner with the family and like all this stuff. At 5 p.m., I get an email from OffSec. At 5 p.m., I get an email from OffSec telling me about some new thing that they were doing. And I'm like, bro, do not send me emails when I'm waiting for my exam email. Who else do we got here? Alex, welcome. Thanks for being here. So, anyway, after the false alarm, gosh dang it. Finally, after, like, there's all this wedding stuff, so I can't just go to bed when I felt like it. I felt like going to bed right around here because I was so tired. And I couldn't sleep on the plane. So anyway, I go to bed finally at 10 at the Airbnb. Still no news. Day 4, 2 a.m., 25 hours later, after submitting my exam, I get the results. I wake up at 5, I see those results, I pass. And once again, I am like...
The only hacker that I know lives in Utah.
Boom. For those of you guys who missed it, I live in Utah, so that's why that's good. So anyway, that was a good day. This day was a good day. Fun wedding, tons of food. I gained about 4.5 pounds. And yeah, it was a good day. I was smiling all day, which doesn't happen that often for me. So anyway, good times. So let's talk about some advice for if you are brand new. And there's going to be another action item in this slide, okay? If you don't know where to start, I really like Try Hack Me. It holds your hand a little bit more. If you don't have dev or IT experience, definitely do the pre-security path. This will introduce you to how computers work, how networking works, and Windows and Linux basics. Okay. What I would also do once you feel more ready, sign up for Hack the Box, the paid version, so you can do the retired boxes. Go look at TJ Knoll's list. Okay. Go look at his list, and in Hack the Box, you can add boxes to your to-do list. So take TJ Knoll's list, add all the boxes that are on there to your to-do list in Hack the Box, and then sort that to-do list by difficulty so that the easiest boxes are on top. And this is your action item. Do that. Okay. Then take the first 5 Linux boxes and the first 5 Windows boxes and go to YouTube, go to IPSEC's channel, IPPSEC, and follow along with those 5 Windows and 5 Linux boxes, just so that you can get your methodology down, okay? Then just work on the Hack the Box boxes from TJ Knoll's list. Do that. Once you've done, I don't know, however many makes you feel comfortable that you have your methodology down, 30, 40, 50 of those boxes, at that point, sign up for the Pen 200. Do the lab for a few months. I wish I had more, well, I do have more time now in the lab, but I wish I had spent more time in the lab. And then I would save proving grounds for the last 2 to 3 months before your exam, because those boxes seem to be the closest to the exam boxes. And I do understand that everyone wants to be as efficient as possible. But I do think there's good reason to get the Learn One subscription. Lone Johnny. Balls, yes. The lab AD boxes are real good. I do like that. Oreo Bite, the seafood diet. How come I've never heard that before? That's freaking great. Yes. And I was trying to lose weight the whole time too. I've lost like 30 pounds, but I gained a bunch of that back over the wedding. But anyway, I do like the Learn One. It gives you a whole year, 2 exam attempts. You don't feel as stressed and rushed that you have to do it. And if you can, get your work to pay for it. Ask your work first if they will pay for it before you go and get it. I can't say why, but ask first. Get approval. But $2,500 is not a lot for a lot of companies' education budget. Okay, especially at tech companies. And especially if you're already in a dev or IT or security role. Okay? We maybe should... I already touched on it, but the exam exercises and the lab report. I'm glad I didn't do it. I understand how it could be helpful for some people. And I would have passed the first time if I had done it, right? But again, those are huge. I can't write, like, those are, well, I didn't go to college, so I'm assuming college textbooks are 400 pages long, but I don't know. Like, that's too much for me. For some people, that's totally worth it, and I think that kind of depends on your starting point. I am excited to do the OffSec Live that they're doing on Twitch. Hopefully that gets a little bit better. Lone Johnny, I took the PNPT just recently, got my debriefing with Heath on Tuesday. Nice, dude. Seriously, ping me on Discord after and let me know how it goes. I really want to take that exam at some point. Right now I have 4 vouchers for other certs that I need to get. Okay, so random tips. Okay. First one's obvious. Back up your Kali VM a bunch. In the course of breaking things, sometimes I break my Kali. Hellmaker, I do not have my own personal Discord, but I am in a bunch of other stuff. I'm definitely not big enough to have my own, but I'm in Al's and I'm in like the InfoSec Prep one and the OffSec one as well under the same name, Bono's Tech. So I'll be in there. You can DM me on Twitch if you want me to put in my thing too. RevX, you passed your PNPT? Good work, you guys. Balls, yes. Okay, I say know when you work best and when you will want to break. And I say that because on both my exams I started in the morning, knowing that I wouldn't be able to sleep unless I had enough points to pass. And I wish I had like the level-headedness and coolness of a person that can start in the afternoon, not freak out the morning before, or like the day of, go to sleep even though they only have 30 or 40 points or whatever, and then come wake up the next morning all refreshed. I definitely don't have that. So you kind of have to know yourself in that way. So review the PDF to make sure you don't have any knowledge gaps. Okay, that's my next one. Especially if you aren't going to do the lab report and the exercises. Okay. I would have failed my second attempt if I had not gone through the Active Directory portion of the PDF. But I also did check the index and all the chapters and everything to make sure that I covered, at a bare minimum in my own studies, everything else that was in the PDF. Yeah, sorry, I don't have any commands or or anything like that. I know. I'm a noob to Twitch, but I don't have enough followers for any of that stuff. So personally, I don't learn in the right... I graduated with a 2.543 GPA. I don't learn in the... I can't just look at the PDF and do stuff, okay? I learn best from working on machines, making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, looking at hints and walkthroughs, and then taking extensive notes. I built a methodology for myself for each step. which also brings me to expect to learn and not to be taught. For me, I learn when I pull that knowledge and not when it's being pushed at me. That's me personally. Everyone learns different. Luckily, hacking is fun. I do it for work and I do it in my free time. I probably should be better at it, but it's still fun. The PDF and the videos are okay, but you have to apply what you're learning. Okay? And really, they're teaching you the hacker mindset here. And the last one is know your tools. Read the blog post. Okay? There was a big thing where someone failed because they used LinPs, and at the time a new thing had been pushed where it triggered their auto exploit. Know your tools, and the other point of know your tools isn't just don't run auto stuff. It's also know what your stuff is doing, bro. So, which leads me to my next topic. Don't rely too much on auto tools or helper tools. Tibbs is my favorite person, if I haven't said that already. I plan on buying him as much alcohol as he wants at DEF CON, and I used auto recon on the exam. All of these tools are my favorite tools. However, and also with Tibbs, if you guys haven't bought his courses on Udemy, go do that. Support a fellow creator. I am convinced that the reason that I failed my first exam was my reliance on these tools and my lack of knowledge around manual recon and manual enumeration. Okay? And I do know for a fact that I only passed my second exam because I did do those things. It came down to manual enumeration and manual recon. Okay? I also really like what it says on Tibbs Auto Recon GitHub. I'm going to read it to you guys. There's a disclaimer. While Auto Recon endeavors to perform as much identification and enumeration of services as possible, there's no guarantee that every service will be identified or that every service will be fully enumerated. Users of Auto Recon, especially students, that's us, should perform their own manual enumeration alongside Auto Recon. Do not rely on this tool alone for exams, CTFs, or other engagements. Well said. So for me, usually what I do is I have a set of manual tests that I do first. And if those checks don't find anything obvious, then I run my auto tools. My manual checklist grows every single time I have to use one of these auto tools. And I add to my notes and checklists as much as I can. Okay? But yes, balanced use of these tools and manual. You gotta stream often, man. This is good knowledge. Hellmaker, I do appreciate you saying that, and I'm gonna try my best to do more streams. How's your AV evasion? My AV evasion is actually pretty decent. I have worked on it recently, for reasons I am not allowed to say, but, so far all my stuff passes AV, so, are you going to take the Pen 300? I super plan on it. Someday. We'll see. OreoBite did write a manual recon tool, which was one of the funniest things that exists. That made me laugh so hard. So hard. And then didn't Tibbs do something for April Fool's Day for Auto Recon? So funny. Yes, manual recon. Dude, I will push my own changes to that at some point. Anyway. And actually, that brings me to notes a little bit. I do want to talk about notes. All my notes are in OneNote, which is great for like auto backup to the cloud. But I really wish I'd found a markdown setup that I liked. I tried Joplin, I tried Obsidian, I tried Notion, all the ones that end in N. Okay, I've tried all those. But if I can find some time to convert all my notes to Markdown, I will share those. However, I personally do not think that anyone will find that useful exactly, because and they might find it useful, but I don't think it will be helpful. That's how I should phrase that. Because what is helpful is building your own methodology. That's how you remember where stuff is in your notes, is because you put it there. Right? So that is my own opinion. Building your own methodology is invaluable. That is how you learn and grow. Okay? Next, am I a hacker now? What do you guys think? So here's the thing. The OSCP is just the beginning, not the end. It is a entry-level certification. You might get job offers, you might get a promotion, but this cert is a starting point. It just is. Any cyber position, red or blue, is evolving every single day. Okay? Every single day you gotta learn, and I really liked Cyber Mentor's video where he talked about his pen testing for everybody. And for me personally, I don't think that it is, but if you're passionate about it, then go for it. No one is as dumb as I am. If I can get a job doing pen testing, and if I can pass the OSCP, then so can you. A hacker is never done learning. That's the best part about hacking. That's why I like it. Okay? The OSCP is a practical exam. And you will learn practical skills. Okay? But I think what they're teaching you here is the hacker mindset and the hacker methodology. Okay? That's what they're going for with the Pen 200 course, in my opinion. And the cool technical skills will come once you take a pen testing job, and in their later courses, and in courses like the PNPT that are more specified for Active Directory and things like that. So that's my own personal opinion. I can't say that that's the objective of offensive security. Those are my thoughts. Okay? Let's see. I did have some people ask me some questions already, and they just kind of pinged me. But we can do an Ask Me Anything. I don't even know how many people are on right now. No one's probably watching. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will be putting this stuff in a blog post. And I'll update that as I think of things. It's been a month, and I'm still thinking of new things. Okay? And so I'm still trying to get my thoughts out. Someone asked me, Lone Johnny, again, congrats, man. Thank you. I do appreciate it. Let's see. I'm gonna go here and see what other questions people had. Let's see. I went over this already, but it says, how long did you spend to reach the passing score, 70 points? It took me about 8 hours to get to that point, and then it was about 22 hours before I had 100 points, with a decent Netflix break in the middle. Let's see. For the PG Labs, the difficulty you provided. Oh, so when I had asked people if they wanted me to answer questions, and I said that I I did all the easy boxes and some of the medium boxes on Proving Grounds. This person is asking if it's easy according to OffSec or easy according to people. The community rating, I mean, and I went off of the OffSec rating for that one. OreoBite asked, did you at least enjoy the boxes you had to solve? Yes, on exam day, I did enjoy those boxes. I had a ton of fun, and part of the fun is like successfully completing a box, but they were interesting to me. The 2 standalone boxes that were not Active Directory and not buffer overflow were very different, and it was fun to feel like I figured that out. It felt like I exercised my brain and created new brain wrinkles. And yes, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for asking, OreoBite. Another person is asking what my PC specifications are. I don't know if that matters, but my PC is definitely overkill. 128 gigs of RAM, Ryzen 5800X, and an RTX 2070 Super. Okay. Let's see. I should also clarify that with the AD portion of my studying, I have technically done some Active Directory pen testing professionally, so I do feel like I cheated a tiny bit. But if you guys want to know some of the stuff that I use for AD pen testing, I'm going to post it in the chat. It is a good resource to have. Okay. This person asked what kind of rabbit hole I face. The rabbit holes, I guess, would have been in the Active Directory section and in the 2 standalone boxes. It did seem like, but they didn't seem terrible, especially once I got it. I was like, oh, obviously that wasn't meant to be a rabbit hole, but I took it that way because I didn't see the actual thing. This person asks, was knowledge of port forwarding pivoting useful for your attempt? I don't think I can say if it was useful on my attempt specifically, but there is a whole section on it in the PDF. So I think it would be a good thing to know. I like Chisel for that, personally. Let's see. How long was my report? My report was around 40 pages, give or take, and I think it could have been shorter, but the problem is they don't tell you how short is too short, and so people tend to go overboard on it. Wait, OreoBite, is that a real thing? I can't tell if that's a real thing. Have you ever used mallet with chisel? I don't even know what that is, dude. Send me a link, bro. I'm curious now. GoPro asks, how hard would you say everything actually was compared to what your expectations were? Another great question. So I kind of got 2 first exams a little bit because they changed the format of the exam for before I started my second one. And the first one I went in And the boxes that again, everyone's difficult and hard definitions are going to be different. But for me, compared to my expectations, it was easier than I thought it was going to be. My first exam, I took it a month and a half after buying the course. I thought for sure I was going to fail with like 10, 20 points or something like that. And I got 65, so I was close. It still sucked. And then this time around, I thought that I was going to get maybe 80 points. And I was ecstatic. Is that the right word? I was really proud of myself, actually, for getting 100 without the lab report. And so I think in both cases, the answer to your question is it was easier than I thought it was going to be based on everyone else's talk in the subreddit and the Discord. That being said, everyone comes in at different levels, and my version of beginner may be different than other people's, and 10 years of IT experience, including 3 as a web pen tester. Not that being a web pen tester actually helped, but this person asks, is the $1,500 individual pen 200 course enough to pass? I'm considering buying it. Congrats on passing. Good question. Again, I did the Learn 1. It was on sale at the time. It was only $500 more than the individual $1,500 one, so I did that. If someone wants to do the 90 days, I would definitely spend a lot more time in Hack the Box, and I would even buy Proving Grounds beforehand, do the 90 days, and then finish off with more Proving Grounds after the 90 days is over. Would you recommend for everyone to do the exercises? I don't think that it is for everybody. If someone is leaning towards the beginner side, I think it's probably a good idea. But for me, that's not what I'm about. I'm not about bookwork like that. Let's see. Do you think a complete beginner starting on TryHackMe would be able to pass OSCP using just 6 to 12 months? I've seen people pass in 6 months. Like, didn't the mayor pass in 6 months? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. I think if you have a lot of time to dedicate, 12 months is not a bad goal. Okay. And maybe 6 to 8 months in, you buy the Learn 1, you go your first round. And then if you don't pass, that's fine too. Did you complete all the new Oreo Bite? I haven't done a single one. I literally... Hold on a second. Where's my other thing? Is this it? I did not even know how big the exercise thing was. This is what you're talking about, right? The topic exercises. So this person made a nice, handy exercise checklist, and I didn't realize how much there was. And people are saying, like, their exercise report is 200, 300, 400 pages long. And, like, look at this. This is so much stuff, and 90% of it is required. It's just nuts, dude. This is crazy to me. But again, if you're coming from a complete beginner standpoint, and you learn well from this type of thing, I could see how this would be useful. But it's taking people like 4, 5, 6 months to do, and ain't no one got time for that. Anyway, if you're thinking about doing these, here's the checklist in the chat. I think that's all the questions that people had asked me before, and in the chat here. So last call for questions before we say goodbye and try and find someone. Is there any age of entropy? That's in Spanish. That's okay. I can help you fix your power. Well, here's the thing, Oreo Bite, is this entire time I've assumed that you're way smarter than me, and so I don't know if if I can actually help. And I haven't been running PowerShell core yet either. If I pronounce your name wrong, dude, I apologize, but I'm assuming it's Diplo Heisenberg. You're welcome. I appreciate you being here. And I will make more time to do some more streams. I'm thinking about some other content specifically around some tools that I think are helpful for people to pass the exam that aren't always talked about, and things like that. So I will be streaming more. I will be putting more stuff on YouTube as well. And maybe because I like I and if anyone has any questions or whatever, you can hit me up on. Hold on, you're right. I should put my YouTube on here. So just so you know, I did used to have a command that was ! YouTube, and then all my stuff broke and it doesn't work anymore. So let me see if I can. It should just be Bono's Tech Stuff on YouTube. Okay. So I am going to. Hey everyone. Let's not actually play the video. Let's. I popped that in the chat. That's one of the videos. You can sub to that. And then I don't have my own Discord. But again, my Discord handle is Bono's Tech on some of the other Discords that other people have. Let me see. Don't you need that number? Anyway, maybe someday we'll have our own Discord, but for now, I'm not like freaking Al or Tibbs. I don't have that. Where is the spot? Yeah, so it's just Bono's Tech. You can find me on there. Hit me up. Leave a comment in the YouTube or something. I check those fairly regularly. And then I should be streaming more. And yeah, so it's been fun. Thanks for being here, you guys. And I really don't have anyone else to raid unless we want to do Age of Entropy. Maybe we'll just do that anyway. Show some support. I agree, Oreo Bite, especially in the context of OSCP, because I can't answer a lot of questions. So that is a good point. AMA should actually be AMA-A-A, ask me almost anything. Oreo Bite makes a great point here. Okay. But, yeah, I'm going to put my ending screen on now, and then we'll hit up someone else who's streaming, all right? So it's been great, you guys. I super appreciate you guys being here, and I will see you next time.